I'm going to show you how to make the absolutely perfect date night dinner, posh lunch dinner, however you fancy it. Well, welcome back to Barbecue Life, where great barbecue doesn't cost a fortune. Today we are reusing the pasta sheets that we had left over from our lasagna cook a couple of videos ago. So let's get straight to it. So we're going to be cooking a beautiful creamy salmon pasta. It's not got many ingredients at all, and as I say, it's super easy to cook. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get the Kamado lit. So we're just going in with some Texas Club charcoal and 3 fire lighters, because we want to get this lit nice and quickly today, and we can go for a higher temperature. So anywhere between 200 and 250 is going to be fine for what we're cooking today. So we're going to get them lit. As soon as they've gone out, we get the lid shut, we get the vents open. As soon as the ceramic starts to feel warm to the touch, we're going to dial our vents back in. We're going to go 1.5 fingers in the bottom vent to 2 fingers, and 1.5 to 2 on the top vent. So for our salmon, we need to start preparing this. So we're using the cold grate method today. So that means that we don't preheat our grate inside the Kamado. We do it straight onto the grate, and then we put the grate in there as we put the food in. So we're going to lay this salmon out on some nice pieces of lemon. So there's a couple of reasons for this. One, it's going to flavour the fish immensely. Secondly, it can stop that fish from sticking. We're just going to lay out 3 to 4 pieces of lemon, depending on your size of your piece of fish or how big your lemons are. Depends on how much you're going to use. I've used 3 pieces on one, big pieces, and 4 on the other. And I've picked long skinny pieces of salmon for this because I think it looks better aesthetic at the end when you're presenting it to your loved one, rather than the larger flat pieces. So we're then going to lay our piece of salmon on top of that, and then we're going to dust very lightly, going to dust some smoked paprika across the top of that. It doesn't need a lot of flavour, we just want that to add a nice beautiful piece of colour and a little piece of flavour onto that fish. So we're going to move that off to one side now, leave that over to one side while that grill is still coming up to temperature. Once that's hit 200, 220, 230, somewhere around there, we want to go in with a cast iron pan. So you can see that I've set the grill grates up. I've put one side, I've got the grill grate down low, and that is what we're going on with our cast iron frying pan. And we want to leave that in there to preheat. So stick a knob of butter in there, so that's getting ready to melt down, ready to cook our sauce. And on the opposite side, we're going to be putting our cold grate salmon in there. So we're going to get that in on the top grate, so furthest away from the charcoal, and we're going to leave that in. We're going to give that salmon 5 minutes head start while that butter's melting and browning off, which is going to give us a nice flavour. So salmon's had 5 minutes. Into that butter we want to go with half a small onion or quarter of a large onion, depending on the sizes of your onions, and get that frying off. And we just want to get a bit of colour on there, 2 to 3 minutes. While we're doing that, we keep the lid shut, and we are going to be opening and closing the lid quite a bit during this cook. But as soon as you finish doing what you're doing, you want to get your lid shut straight back down so that we're baking that salmon. So once that onion's had a couple of minutes and it's started to brown off, we're going to go in with a dash of garlic. So just use 1 large bulb. I like it quite heavy on the garlic. If you want it a bit less garlicky, then you can use half a bulb or a smaller bulb of garlic. Mine was a fair size. We're going to get that frying off, and we're going to go in with a squeeze of half a lemon and a teaspoon of parsley. So get that mixing round. Once you can smell how fragrant that garlic is, that is when we need to go with our next ingredient. So that is 2 large handfuls of chopped spinach. Get that in the top, and the water will come out of that spinach, and that will stop the frying process of what we're doing. We can also add a little bit of extra water. So with the water, what I've done with my pasta is that went in the freezer. I chopped it up in that lasagna video into sheets, like strips of tagliatelle instead of our lasagna sheets. That went in the freezer. I got that out this morning, let it defrost. I've now put it into a jug, and I filled it up with boiling water, because we just want to give that a head start before it goes into that sauce. We don't want to completely cook it, we just want to soften it. So you can use a dash of that water just to help stop that frying process and just get things moving around in the bottom of that frying pan. But it is literally a little dash. Then we're going to go in with half to 2/3 a pot of creme fraiche, depending on how creamy you want it. And this is feeding 2 people. If you're feeding 4 people, then you're going to want that entire pot in there, and you might want a little bit more onion and garlic to begin with. So get that creme fraiche in, and we're going to start giving that a nice whoosh around. Get the lid shut back down and let that salmon carry on baking. All the time that lid's been open, we've been giving a really fierce heat to the very bottom of them lemons. So we're blistering them lemons, we're getting that the steam to build up and penetrate into the fish. So the fish is still cooking while we've got that lid open. So we want that sauce in there for 3 to 4 minutes, just thickening up. And then we're going to go in and we can move it around. Now you can add your salt and pepper. So I'm not having too much salt in my diet, what with the high blood pressure. So we're just going to put a dash of salt in there, and I like it quite heavy on the pepper, so a couple of turns of the pepper on there, but you season it the way that you see fit. Now we need to drain the water off of our pasta, and we're going to dump the rest of that half cooked pasta that's sat in that boiling water into the sauce, give that another stir and leave that in there for another 3 to 4 minutes. By this time our salmon's had that 5 minutes head start, and it's now had at least another 10 minutes while we've been cooking everything else. So the 15-minute mark our salmon should be done. So go in with a probe, and you want it to be probing at least 55 degrees C. So we've hit 55 in the middle, so we are ready to take this off and dish it up. So I'll take you over to the serving area. I find to serve the pasta, it is much better to do this with tongs rather than with a spoon. You get less drag across the plate, your plate's better on presentation. So we're just going to use some tongs and get that into the middle of the plate. I'm also dishing up onto my wife's plate as well over the other side, so if you can see it disappearing from the pan in the cuts of shots, that is why. So we've got that on. We now need to get our salmon, so we're going to bring that over, put that on top of the pan there, as you can see, and the fish just completely peels away from them lemons. Super easy, and we can place that on top of our piece of pasta, and it's a beautiful presented piece of food. Your partners are going to absolutely love it. It tastes absolutely fantastic. So let's jump in for a taste test. So I can't wait to tuck in. It's pretty chilly out here still, so nice big bit of fish. Break off some of that pasta. That is beautiful, elegant. Oh, I'm going to wrap this up because this is too good to be sitting there chatting rather than eating. Super simple to cook. Love the fact that we've used that leftover pasta. If you don't like the salmon, as I said before, you can always put chicken in this. Exactly the same ingredients, it's going to be perfect. So if you like what we're doing here, please do subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this recipe. And if there's anything else you want to see me cook, stick that down there as well, or any other feedback whatsoever. And make sure you like the video. Cheers.